guys, welcome to my channel. I hope you're all doing well. So today I'm going to talk about my latest project that I've been working on for the past 3 months. So the project is called Metonymy of bark and Sinew. It's about finding similarities in nature, similarities between our body parts and trees, similarities between trees and other beings in nature. And it's a very basic and a very simple concept that I've taken it forward and also tried to create different landscape storylines out of it. So the first ever drawing that I made based on the idea was in 2016. I was in college first year and we were sketching in the campus. This is a version of banyan tree that looks like it has really long fingernails, and even the trunk looks like fingers and knuckles. So, this is what the tree looked like to me at the time I was sketching it, and I've had that idea since then. So, and the following year, this was in I think 2018, I'm not sure. I made a print, a dry point on acrylic print of it, and then I didn't stop there. I've been thinking about the similarities since then. It was only now that I was able to work on it and take it to a new level. This was done in 2018. It's a drawing of coconut tree that looks like spinal cord and rib cages, and you can also see some plants that look like bones growing out. So at the time I was making this, I guess I was trying to create a parallel world where skeletons replaced plants and they were growing out just like them, and maybe there are trees that are walking. It's a very silly idea, but it's definitely interesting if you think about it. And it's like calcified beings that are constantly growing. And like if you see the coconut tree, really the branches especially look like rib cages. I will show you the bigger drawing that I made a few months back. It's the same idea but on a bigger scale. So, the point of this project was initially to provide new perspective to common things around us and propagate new thinking. Like find new perspective to different things. Like I wanted people to look at my work, and then when they venture out and saw trees, they would be like, oh, this looks like some other body part, it looks like hand. Like I wanted to you know uh, make them think that way, and make them see the world through a different lens. Like it should never look the same to them. But as I kept working on the project, it made me realize just how deeply we are connected to nature. And at the very basic layout of nature, we are all so similar in terms of structure, function, and how we are built. If you take a look at the rings on the trees, it's similar to the fingerprint. Not exactly similar, but that's what popped into my mind when I think of tree rings, and we also have these rings on our fingerprints. Uh, so yeah, it can also, talk about how we leave our mark on the things we destroy. I will show you the drawing. This is the work that I'm talking about. You can see the fingerprint on this tree stump. I'm not sure if it's clear, but you get the idea. So yeah, it talks about the similarities between tree rings and our fingerprint, and also like acts as an allegory for the mark we leave on the things we destroy. And this is one of the smaller works to the part of the project. It's a small tree that looks like a hand. It somewhat looks like this. The arm is really bent. And I've used the method of cross hatching with pen and ink to emphasize on the texture of the trees or the hands. So let's take a look at the bigger works, and if you have any comments, criticism, I appreciate it. Please do comment your thoughts and share the video. This is one of the 20 something drawings that I've made for this project. So this is a rain tree that at a certain angle it looks like hand. So all the drawings that I've made are drawn from real trees that I encountered when I was going to park or when I just headed out. This one, it's a majestic tree. It really looks like hand, trying to catch something, and it's was done during monsoon season. I think like it was a very chilly day. It had been raining for a few days, so the moss started growing on the tree, hence the green color. And the more I look at it, the more I think about how trees always grow towards the sky as if they want to touch the sky, or they grow upwards because they need the sun, right? As if they reach for the sun, as if they want to touch for the sun. And sun is the mother that nourishes them. So it's like the trees grow yearning for their mother. And also I will be making an extension of this drawing, like a cutout out of wood. I won't be able to explain it, but you can just stay updated for the new version of this on my Instagram. And then we have here the same tree in a different angle. Now it looks like this, right? If you like look at it from a different angle, the tree looks like this. It's the same tree, the rain tree. So this was done during fall when the flowers started falling down, and there were these orange patch on the tree. It looked really beautiful and magical. It was very whimsical, and I really wanted to capture that. Even this will have an extension that's going to come outside of the painting. It's going to look like nerves and blood vessels. So, to point out the similarities between branches and the blood vessels in terms of structure. So, I will show you that work. Yeah, this is one of the work that talks about the similarities between blood vessels and the branches, and how they're similar in terms of structure. And you can see like the tree is somewhat merging with the blood vessels. And the next we have a series of three drawings that are interlinked to each other. First, we see a tree that actually looks like a hand. This is a tree that I found near my home. I've actually added an extra branch, but really it has just four main branches. It's only this much, but yeah, it looked like hand, holding like this. And I thought I'll just capture that and make it look very surrealistic. And in the background, you can see a tree that is in the distance, which is actually a preview of the next work that I made. Like, if you observe closely, they both are the same. And that tree actually looks like a palm outstretched. I really like the color that I've chosen. It's very surrealistic as well, if you ask me. But then I thought the background was too plain, and I added a tree in the back, which is actually a preview into the next work, and it's surrounded by birds. But actually, if you look closer, it's actually hands, they're not birds. So, like, I've turned it into something different, something unusual. It's got a sense of humor, I think. But yeah, this tree I found in Jainagar in my city. It actually looked like the Korean heart sign. So, so I was kind of amused by it. Like the second I saw that tree, it really looked like the Korean heart symbol, and I thought, let me just capture that too. And initially, I didn't do the sky, the blue sky, and the hands. I just left the background plain. And then I thought it was a bit lacking and a bit repetitive. So, what I did, I just made some hands in the shape of birds, and I thought it would make an interesting composition, sort of like trying to create a story, I guess, or like a very unusual landscape scene. And then after doing this, I added the birds in this one, the previous work. So it's like, creating a series of narrative composition. You look at this, you go closer, and you're brought to this scene, a very unusual scene. Let's take up the other work that I've made. You're going to like this. So, this is the very first drawing that I made of this series. It's a tree that I found in park, which also look like hands, like two hands. And in the background, you can see the actual tree, which resembles the hand, the one we saw in this one. So, that is a preview of this. And then we have here a tree that looks like feet with really messed up toes. Most people can't recognize it, but I'll show you. Like if you try to outstretch your toes, you can like see the difference. Okay, I'm not able to make it, but you get the idea. And in the background, I have made like simple line drawings of furniture that we stub our toe again. So, this tree is actually a visual representation of your feet when you stub them against the furniture so many times in a day. You kind of feel like your toes are all wrangled and like fractured, if I'm going to be dramatic. And then we have here a representation of eucalyptus or nilgiri tree, which has white patches, like white and gray patches. Whenever I used to look at them, they kind of reminded me of patches you see on with vitiligo. So I would say like this tree has like vitiligo symptoms. I'm sorry if this is offensive, but it's just a simple, so innocent, comparison between the skin condition and the eucalyptus tree, which I think is really interesting because then again it makes you think, like there are just so many things that you find of yourself in nature, and it's fascinating. And then we have here a bigger version of the spine tree, pun intended. So yeah, a bigger version of this pine tree, which is coconut tree in the shape of spinal cord and rib cages. It's somewhat a very eerie composition, given the crows, the symbol of scavengers. But the more I look at coconut trees and this drawing, it just makes me wonder, like, on a spiritual level, the spinal cord represents an ascent to the higher plane, and the rib cage is like the protector of the heart. Like, in those lines you can also come up with your own interpretation. And one more thing is that all my works are open to individual interpretation. They are not confined to just one interpretation or meaning. So all these works and comparisons are very suggestive. They are not very obvious, maybe except for this one. So it leaves room for other interpretation. And whenever you add your own interpretation to an artwork, it adds more value to it. So do please do comment your thoughts on this. I would love to hear you. And this is, I think, one of my favorite works because it's very majestic, like the elephant. So this tree, I'm not sure its name, but it's majestic. It's absolutely majestic. It's a huge tree, and the branches really look like the elephant trunk and tusk. Like, it had these folds, and immediately when I saw those folds, I'm like, this looks like elephant's knees. The knee, it has got many folds, and even on the trunk it's got like many folds, right? So that's what came to my mind when I saw the tree, and I thought I would make the like capture that and make a composition out of it, a very simple one with just the tree alone. But the more I look at it, it looks like a graveyard on a main uh, thing, like a graveyard of elephants in one place. It's kind of sad because it makes you think about the elephants that are killed for their tusk. But yeah, again, it's very suggestive and leaves room for your own interpretation. It doesn't have to be always, grim and dark. You can also turn it into a fun story. The more I worked on this, the more I thought about how I could address social issues and environment issues using this kind of art. So for a while I had this problem where uh, I couldn't decide, I didn't know how to talk about social issues with surrealism, like the kind of art I make. And I really wanted to do that, but I didn't know how. With this project, I finally got my answer, and I'm like so grateful. This is one of the works to talk about environmental issues through surrealism. So, this is a version of bamboo trees. Like, if you look, one second. So, if you look from a distance, it looks like bamboo trees, but if you go closer, they're actually made of bones, hundreds of bones stacked on top of each other to resemble bamboo, and they're surrounded by trash. It's actually collage. Like, I took printouts of the picture from Google, cut them out and pasted it. It was not an easy task. I took an entire 20 hours to do this. It was really challenging, but it turned out really well, and I'm very happy with this. This is also one of my favorite work. So, with this piece, I found my answer to the long question that I had, like how to talk about social issues, environmental issues through my work. And if you really think about it, this talks about the pollution that we are responsible for, littering, use of plastic, and how they're harming the environment. It's like saying if we keep going down the same path, there will be nothing left but bones and trash. That is actually the title of this work. It's called There Will Be Nothing Left But Bones and Trash. So, in the absence of bamboo trees, you have bones growing out that looks like bamboo trees. And similarly, I have talked about overconsumption of meat, poultry, the issues with poultry farming with this work. Initially, that was not my intention. My intention was to just capture the similarity between the talents of eagles and chicken, the chicken feet, and that of the tree I found. So this tree in the park that I go to, it looks like this same structure, but to me it looked like chicken feet. Hence the pink color and all the ridges. And then I thought the background is just too plain and it's looking very lonely. So I added more of the chicken feet that looks like trees in the background, and the pink background the ones that are in the distance just merges with the background and like creates a pink environment. And then I still wasn't satisfied with the work. I felt like there was something missing, so I did a little bit of research into poultry farming and what all happened when people actually farmed chicken for consumption of meat and eggs. And I found out that there are quite a few issues like the pollution, poor waste management, like you can see some dead chickens here. There's overcrowding, very poor conditions, and what else? The issue with consumption of overconsumption of meat. And like the one with the elephant trunk, this also looks like a graveyard the more I look at it. It's like a graveyard of chicken feet, just growing out, just growing and growing, reminding us what existed before we intervened. But yeah, you can also interpret in your own way. But I wanted to convey my message, and I think I have. Definitely adding these collage, the pictures made the message I wanted to convey more solid. And I'm really happy with this. And one more issue that I wanted to talk about was global warming, the literal warming of the planet. So this banyan tree looked like arms, you know. Also from the park, it looked like arms. Like the entire picture actually looks like arms. And the roots like dreadlocks of armpit hair. Pardon my cringe. But yeah, I wanted to address the issues of global warming, the overheating during summer season. So what I did was I made the skin on the arm slash tree burnt, crisp, red. Some are rotting. So imagine how plants would feel if they also were growing in such harsh, hot condition. Like your skin would feel burnt. Maybe plants also feel the same way. I know they don't have nerves, so they can't feel, but come on, they must be feeling something. It's not like they can just grow in any condition. They need good condition, and this is not one of them. And then we have here a painting of a plant that looks like tongue because the leaves are very bright pink and they really look like tongue the first time I saw them. So I made a plant with tongues resembling a leaf, and you can see some of the tongues are drying out. So the intent with this work was to help people emphasize with plants when they grow in really dry condition without any water. It's like, if you stick out your tongue for too long, you feel thirsty. Your tongue would be really dry. So that was the point of this. So guys, that was the summary of the project. I hope it's not too long. If you're still watching this, thank you so much for supporting me and subscribing to my channel. If you're new to my channel, please do subscribe. You can watch the previous videos to see what kind of art I make, and you can also follow me on Instagram to see more of my art. It really means a lot if you support me. A bit awkward there.